In 2021, Parliament discovered that a scientist in Canada's highest security lab had shipped live Ebola to the Wuhan Institute of Virology and collaborated with the Chinese military on bioweapons research. Kind of a big deal, right? Do we have anything like that? So what happened in Canada? The House ordered the documents 4 times. The Liberal Party blocked it every single time. They sued, they stonewalled, they even called for a snap election to kill the investigation. So what is that? That's rule of law being violated and separation of powers being violated. Remember, those are 2 out of the 10 things that you have to have if you're going to be a free nation. 3 years later, the Auditor General exposed the almost $400 million in outright corruption. But again, Parliament, the Liberals, shut it down. Accountability, independent oversight violated. Then Trudeau resigned. And 1/3 of 1% of Canadians, the elite inner circle, handed the Prime Minister's office to Mark Carney. They tried to do that here when they tried to hand the nomination, and did hand the nomination, to Kamala Harris. While this was happening, the House of Commons stopped sitting for 8 months. So Canada was governed by executive decree. No oversight, no debate, no votes. Where's your representation? Separation of powers. Okay, that's not a democracy. That's rule by fiat. They weren't even in session. The elections, are they free and fair? CSIS confirmed China interfered in both 2019 and 2021, funding 11 candidates. Trudeau was briefed on this, and he did nothing. That's free and fair elections out the window. Liberal MP openly told people to collect a Chinese Communist Party bounty on a conservative candidate. No charges. Equal application of the law violated. The next election, 121 mail-in ballots went uncounted. In one, the vote was decided by a single vote. Elections Canada printed the wrong postal codes on the envelopes. In another, data entry errors, and that delivered a 327 vote swing to the Liberals. Trust in the election? Then 5 MPs flipped into the Liberal Party in 5 months. And convenient that it handed the elections to the now majority, a 2-seat majority to the Liberals. Democracy by design, or is it democracy by manipulation? Do we see any of this happening here? Because, see, people blame this on the Republicans, but where are the Republicans in Canada? Why is this happening with progressive leadership all over the West? Once in power, they move to control what you see, what you say, and how you live in Canada. They invoked the Emergencies Act against the 2022 Freedom Convoy. They froze the bank accounts of protesters, their supporters all across the country. That's a silencing of free speech and assembly and property rights. 2 federal courts, including the Court of Appeal, ruled unanimous, unreasonable, unlawful, and a violation of charter rights to expression, assembly, and protection from unreasonable search and seizure. No national emergency existed. The government is still appealing to the Supreme Court, but the courts have already spoken. They acted without justification, and then they got away with it. That's judicial authority and rule of law. They passed a bill called C-18, the Online News Act. That forced Google and Meta to pay Canadian outlets for links. Meta blocked all news on Facebook and Instagram for Canadians. Google paid up instead of blocking. But the precedent was set. Government decides what information flows. Free press, information flow, controlled. That's not part of a free nation. Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act, does the same thing to Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, forcing them under the thumb of Canada and their DEI quotas and Canadian content mandates. That's speech. That's cultural expression influenced by the state. That's not a free nation. They kept the carbon tax, despite 2/3 of Canadians opposing the increases. 2/3. Is that a democratic republic? They ended the visible consumer tax only to keep the hidden clean fuel regulations and industrial carbon tax quietly raising your fuel costs if you happen to be in Canada. Transparency. There's none there. They tried to mandate 100% EV sales by 2035, then replaced it with emission rules that achieve the same thing except through the back door. That's regulatory overreach. Property rights, optional. In Ontario, Bill 212 lets the province ram through highway projects, override municipal bylaws, and force property owners out faster. No property rights. In Waterloo, the government secretly used NDAs and expropriation threats to grab 770 acres of prime farmland for a mega site. Maybe AI data center, don't know. Farmers found out only after the fact. Where's your property rights? New Brunswick. A judge reduced a convicted man's sentence specifically so he wouldn't be deported because his skills mattered more than enforcing the law. Where's equal justice? In Toronto, City Council voted to open government-run grocery stores that waive their own taxes to undercut private business. Fair market violation. In rural New Brunswick, they saw forced municipal mergers and tax hikes of 50 and 60% on homeowners. British Columbia moving now from rural property rights into permission-based system, applying to the government for everything from selling eggs to, giving writing lessons, or face a $50,000 a day fine. Economic freedom, gone. Guns, they banned 2,500 assault-style firearms called the buyback, voluntary, and then warned that keeping your legally purchased property after the deadline means jail. Is there any property rights? Then there's the darkest chapter, MAID, medical assistance in dying, legalized in 2016 for those with reasonably foreseeable deaths. In 2021, they dropped that safeguard. 2024 alone, 22,535 Canadians requested it. 16,499 received it. 5.1% of all deaths in the country are now medical-assisted suicide. From 2016 to 2024, over 76,000 killed by their own government's health care. It's now the fourth leading cause of death in adults. They have killed more people medically than they have euthanized pets in Canada. Meanwhile, socialized medicine, patients are averaging 28 weeks for treatment, 3 times longer than in 1993. Some doctors are offering MAID for back pain, curable conditions, mental health. When the state controls your health care and offers death as a solution to its own failures, you're no longer a citizen. You're a cost center. And now they want more. The Combating Hate Bill, C9, moving through Parliament up in Canada. New criminal offenses for hate. Codified definition that would criminalize religious belief, peaceful protest, dissent. There's no freedom of speech there. Former Google executive pitched a $500,000 exit tax on educated Canadians. If you dare to leave, they're gonna charge you $500,000. So I mean, isn't that a Berlin Wall of sorts? You owe the state for the privilege of being born there. Stay and serve, or pay to escape. Oh my gosh, that's not a democracy. It's not. Democracy is not when Parliament sidelined for 8 months. Democracy is not when foreign interference is ignored and elections are gamed. Democracy is not when, the courts rule the government broke the law and then nothing changes. Democracy is not when the state controls your speech, your property, your health care, your energy, your news, your guns, and then offers you assisted suicide because the wait times for their medicine is too long. Canada has become something else. It's a managed oligarchy with democratic trappings. The forms remain, the elections, the parliament building, the maple leaf flag, but the substance of what Canada has always been is gone. Power is consolidated now. Dissent is managed. The individual exists to serve the state and not the other way around. Look how far Canada has fallen. Now recognize, America, this is your future. We are already letting unelected bureaucrats and activists and judges rewrite the rules. If we allow and tolerate foreign interference and media capture, if we accept that the government can freeze your bank account for protesting, seize your farm for progress, if we trade liberty for equity, safety, and Canadian content, we're going to wake up in the morning in exactly the same place.